mengurangi penggunaan sumber daya, memperpanjang usia pakai suatu produk, dan mengembalikan sisa produksi dan konsumsi ke dalam proses produksi. Prinsip ekonomi sirkular terdiri dari 9 R, yakni reduce, rethink, reduce, reuse, repair, refurbish, remanufacture, repurpose, recycle, dan recover. Kesembilan prinsip ini dikelompokkan menjadi 3, yakni creation, maintaining, dan recover. Sejak tahun 2020, Indonesia mulai mengembangkan kebijakan ekonomi sirkular. Bappenas berhasil mengidentifikasi 5 sektor prioritas dalam ekonomi sirkular yang menyumbang hingga 33% dari PDB dan mempekerjakan lebih dari 43 juta orang pada tahun 2019. Bappenas juga telah melakukan kajian terkait potensi timbulan sisa dan susut pangan atau food loss and waste di Indonesia dan merilis.
Good afternoon to all distinguished guests. We warmly welcome you to this important event, kick-off event and signing of the implementation agreement project InCircular, promoting a circular economy in Indonesia. We are delighted to have you join us today at GW Marriott Hotel, Jakarta. Ladies and gentlemen, we kindly ask you to please take your seat. The session will begin shortly.
Setiap arah kebijakan tersebut memiliki indikator utama. Sebagai isu yang tidak terpisahkan dari ekonomi sirkular, Bappenas juga telah menyusun peta jalan pengelolaan susut dan sisa pangan. Peta jalan ini berisi pendetailan arah kebijakan dan strategi yang mendukung penerapan ekonomi sirkular di sektor pangan melalui aksi. Sepertiga dari makanan yang diproduksi untuk konsumsi manusia hilang atau terbuang antara proses panen dan proses konsumsi. Sedangkan di Indonesia, pada tahun 2018, timbulan sampah yang paling dominan sebanyak 44% adalah sampah makanan. Sebagai negara yang turut serta menyepakati agenda pembangunan global, Indonesia telah berkomitmen untuk mengimplementasikan tujuan pembangunan berkelanjutan. Salah satunya adalah konsumsi dan produksi yang bertanggung jawab. Dalam RPJMN 2020-2024, pembangunan rendah karbon memprioritaskan implementasi penanganan limbah dan ekonomi sirkular untuk mencapai tujuan tersebut. Namun, pada tahun 2017, The Economist Intelligence Unit menyatakan bahwa Indonesia adalah penghasil food loss and waste kedua terbesar di dunia. Pada tahun 2020, Kementerian PPN Bappenas bersama dengan World Resources Institute dan Waste for Change didukung oleh UK FCDO melaksanakan kajian food loss and waste yang bertujuan untuk mengetahui data dasar atau baseline dan proyeksi food loss and waste di Indonesia. Di samping itu juga untuk mengidentifikasi strategi pengelolaan food loss and waste untuk mendukung implementasi pembangunan rendah karbon dan ekonomi sirkular. Kajian ini terdiri dari 4 fase yang dilakukan selama 8 bulan. Data dikumpulkan dari stakeholder meeting, wawancara ahli dan praktisi, survei pengukuran timbulan sampah makanan, serta survei kuesioner. Dalam kajian ini, yang dimaksud food loss adalah hilangnya sejumlah pangan pada tahapan produksi, pasca panen dan penyimpanan, serta pemrosesan dan pengemasan. Food waste adalah pangan yang dibuang pada tahap distribusi dan retail serta konsumsi. Dari hasil kajian, food loss and waste di Indonesia selama 20 tahun berada di rentang 23 sampai 48 juta ton per tahun atau setara dengan 115 sampai 184 kilogram per kapita per tahun. Kerugian ekonomi akibat food loss and waste selama 20 tahun terakhir setara dengan 4-5% produk domestik bruto Indonesia, yaitu sekitar 213 hingga 551 triliun rupiah per tahun. Dari 11 jenis pangan yang ada, sayur-sayuran menjadi pangan yang pengelolaannya paling tidak efisien. Sementara padi-padian adalah pangan yang menimbulkan kerugian ekonomi paling besar. Dalam 20 tahun terakhir, kandungan energi yang hilang dari food loss and waste setara dengan porsi makanan 61 sampai 125 juta orang per tahun. Sementara dari sisi emisi gas rumah kaca, food loss and waste selama 20 tahun di Indonesia mengeluarkan emisi sebesar 1.702,9 megaton karbon dioksida ekuivalen, setara dengan luas Pulau Jawa dan NTB jika ditanami pohon. Dari hasil studi, ditemukan terdapat berbagai faktor penyebab food loss and waste. 3 penyebab utama yaitu kurangnya implementasi good handling practice, kualitas ruang penyimpanan yang kurang optimal, dan kelebihan porsi serta perilaku konsumen. Hasil kajian juga membuktikan terdapat tren peningkatan food loss and waste setiap tahunnya dengan rata-rata peningkatan sebesar 3,19% per tahun. Sangat penting bagi kita untuk segera menerapkan strategi pengelolaan food loss and waste di Indonesia. Berdasarkan hasil kajian, dirumuskan 5 arah kebijakan strategi pengelolaan food loss and waste di Indonesia. Yang pertama, perubahan perilaku. Pembenahan penunjang sistem pangan. Penguatan regulasi dan optimalisasi pendanaan. Pemanfaatan food loss and waste. Dan pengembangan kajian dan pendataan food loss and waste. Strategi ini diharapkan untuk dapat diterapkan dalam 25 tahun ke depan hingga 2045. Perilaku kita dalam menghabiskan makanan akan sangat berpengaruh mengurangi dampak food loss and waste. Mari lebih bertanggung jawab terhadap konsumsi dan produksi makanan untuk masa depan Indonesia yang lebih lestari, sehat, dan rendah karbon.
Amidst the vast development in today's world, the global society is facing 10 most severe risks over the next decade. The World Economic Forum has identified 5 environmental risks as the most critical long-term threats to the world. These risks are perceived to be the most damaging to people and the planet. Climate action failure, extreme weather, and biodiversity loss rank as the top 3 most severe risks, which have had a great physical and economic impact, while human environmental damage and natural resource crisis also pose a major risk due to human activities. To avoid the greater economic and biodiversity loss caused by climate change, the government of Indonesia has successfully integrated the low-carbon and climate resilience development policies into the National Medium-Term Development Plan (RPJMN 2020-2024) as mandated by Article 3.4 of the UNFCCC, confirming it as the first green RPJMN in Indonesia's history. The recent COVID-19 pandemic has caused a severe impact on both people and the economy. Therefore, an economic transformation is needed to recover from the pandemic and to realize Indonesia's vision to be a high-income country by 2045. The transition to a green economy is one of the economic transformation strategies where low-carbon and climate resilience development act as the backbone. The transition requires a precise approach to measure the progress while ensuring that the economic transformation is tangible, representative, and reliable. Bappenas has developed the Indonesia Green Economy Index, a tool to measure green economy progress with 15 selected indicators. The index consists of 3 pillars of sustainability: environmental, economic, and social pillar. The indicators for environmental pillar consist of forest cover, share of renewable energy, managed waste, percentage of greenhouse gas emission reduction, and percentage of degraded peatland. The indicators for economic pillar consist of emission intensity, final energy intensity, gross national income per capita, agricultural productivity, industrial sector labor productivity, and service sector labor productivity. And the indicators for social pillar consist of mean year of schooling, life expectancy, poverty rate, and unemployment rate. These indicators will be reliable factors to determine the success of the economic transition process. The Green Economy Index, measuring the progress of each indicator from the target based on Indonesia's Vision 2045 and Low Carbon Development Indonesia model to achieve net zero emissions in 2060. The implementation of the Green Economy Index is an important key to support an inclusive and sustainable economic transformation. In 2011 to 2020, the Green Economy Index Indonesia shows a rising trend, pointing to the right path of green economic growth for the nation and the synergy between three sustainable development pillars. The Green Economy Index will be one of the development targets in the National Medium-Term Development Plan 2025-2029 and the National Long-Term Development Plan 2025-2045. By working together, we can achieve a higher Green Economy Index as we accomplish Indonesia's vision in 2045, which will catalyze strategic low-carbon policy exercise and accelerate Indonesia's economic growth in the future.
Yang dikenal dengan triple planetary crisis. Penyebab utamanya adalah sistem ekonomi kita yang masih mengenal Indonesia, negeri yang kaya akan sumber daya alam. Dari kekayaan hutan hujan tropis hingga keberagaman hayati laut yang tak tertandingi. Namun, di balik kekayaan tersebut, kita dihadapkan pada tantangan besar. Perilaku produksi dan konsumsi kita sekarang tidaklah berkelanjutan. Hal ini menyebabkan 3 masalah besar dalam pembangunan yang dikenal dengan triple planetary crisis. Penyebab utamanya adalah sistem ekonomi kita yang masih menganut prinsip ambil, pakai, buang atau ekonomi linear. Saat ini, sepertiga dari hasil produksi makanan hilang atau terbuang setiap tahun. Selain itu, dari seluruh sumber daya yang digunakan, hanya 7,2% sumber daya yang dipakai kembali dalam kegiatan ekonomi. Nah, salah satu solusi dari masalah ini adalah penerapan ekonomi sirkular. Ekonomi sirkular adalah model ekonomi yang bertujuan untuk mengurangi penggunaan sumber daya, memperpanjang usia pakai suatu produk, dan mengembalikan sisa produksi dan konsumsi ke dalam proses produksi. Prinsip ekonomi sirkular terdiri dari 9 R, yakni reduce, rethink, reduce, reuse, repair, refurbish, remanufacture, repurpose, recycle, dan recover. Kesembilan prinsip ini dikelompokkan menjadi 3, yakni creation, maintaining, dan recover. Sejak tahun 2020, Indonesia mulai mengembangkan kebijakan ekonomi sirkular. Bappenas berhasil mengidentifikasi 5 sektor prioritas dalam ekonomi sirkular yang menyumbang hingga 33% dari PDB dan mempekerjakan lebih dari 43 juta orang pada tahun 2019. Bappenas juga telah melakukan kajian terkait potensi timbulan sisa dan susut pangan atau food loss and waste di Indonesia dan merilis buku The Future is Circular. Pada tahun 2023, secara bertahap, Kementerian PPN Bappenas mulai merumuskan dokumen berisi pendetailan arah kebijakan dan strategi yang mendukung penerapan ekonomi sirkular di sektor pangan melalui aksi.
Ladies and gentlemen, we kindly ask you to please take your seat. The session will begin now. Ladies and gentlemen, live from GW Marriott Hotel Jakarta, welcome to the kick-off event and signing of the implementation agreement project InCircular. Indonesia, a land of diversity where culture and tradition come together in timeless harmony. Today, we invite you to experience a glimpse of that beauty through this performance. Please welcome the Indonesian cultural dance performance. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Shalom, Om Swastiastu, Namo Buddhaya, Salam Kebajikan. These greetings represent the traditional salutation of different religious communities in Indonesia. They are spoken to honor our nation diversity and to respect every guest, regardless of their faith or cultural background. Ladies and gentlemen, my name is Muhammad Firdaus Nur Ananda, and it's my honor to be your master of ceremony for today's kick-off event and signing of the implementation agreement project InCircular promoting a circular economy in Indonesia. The project is a partnership between the Ministry of National Development Planning Bappenas together with the German Federal Ministry of Economic Cooperation and Development and implemented by GIZ. Ladies and gentlemen, this week is truly a special one for both Indonesia and German cooperation. Just yesterday and earlier this morning, on 26 till 27 November 2025, Indonesia and Germany held the government-to-government consultation meeting. This meeting, conducted every 2 years, served as a platform for both countries to discuss priority issues and cooperation program. Ladies and gentlemen, please give a big round of applause as we celebrate this remarkable occasion where two nations stand together united by a long-standing partnership and share aspiration for a livable, inclusive, and sustainable future. Please give a big round of applause for us today, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you. But first, allow me to welcome our distinguished guest, Bapak Leonardo Teguh Sambodo, Deputy of Food Affairs, Natural Resources and Environment Bappenas. Good afternoon, Bapak. Mr. Andreas Förster, German Head of Delegation of G2G from the Federal Ministry of Economic Cooperation and Development, or BMZ. Good afternoon. And good afternoon and welcome to Mr. Hans Ludwig, GIZ Country Director for Indonesia and ASEAN. Mr. Thomas First, Director for Urban Development and Spatial Assignment, GIZ. And to Bapak Nizar Marizi, Director for Environment of the Ministry of National Development Planning, Bappenas. Ladies and gentlemen, I would like also to extend our greetings to our panel speakers, Ibu Hanifa Dwi Nirwana, Acting Deputy for Waste, Toxic and Hazardous Materials Management of the Ministry of Environment, Ibu Emi Suryandari, Head of Standardization and Industrial Service Policy, Ministry of Industry, and Mr. Thomas, Head of Project InCircular GIZ. A warm welcome also to the representative from line ministries, agencies, regional government, development partner, association, and circular economy business actors, and also participants who are joining us from YouTube channel. We are deeply honored by your presence and we look forward to sharing this important occasion with all of you today. Ladies and gentlemen, Indonesia is entering an ambitious yet promising phase of sustainable transformation. In 2024, we have launched the National Circular Economic Roadmap 2025-2045 that aims to transform the economy from business as usual model to a more sustainable one. In support of this effort, today we are celebrating the collaboration between Indonesia and Germany through the launching of the project InCircular promoting a circular economy in Indonesia. Today's event marks an important moment as we gather to formally commence the InCircular project. Today we will hear insight from our distinguished speakers and panelists, learn about the project background, and engage with each other to celebrate a new collaboration between Bappenas, the BMZ, GIZ, and other stakeholders to accelerate Indonesia's circular transition. Ladies and gentlemen, before we continue with the next agenda, we would like to invite everyone to rise. We will now honor our nation by singing the national anthem of Indonesia. The singing of Indonesia Raya. Ladies and gentlemen, please be seated. Ladies and gentlemen, without further ado, to begin our event today, we are honored to welcome Mr. Andreas Förster, Head of Division Southeast Asia of the BMZ and Head of the German delegation to deliver his remarks. To Mr. Andreas, the floor is yours.
Deputy Leonardo, Deputy Hanifa, Ibu Emi, dear ladies and gentlemen. It is my pleasure to participate in the launching of this strategic partnership on circular economy between Indonesia and Germany today. This comes at a fortunate time, as we have just concluded the bilateral government-to-government consultations with our Indonesian partners, where the issue of circular economy has been reconfirmed as a sector of great importance. This echoes what vice ministers and deputy ministers have shared before. After all, pollution affects all of us. We can see it in our surroundings, how it impacts the natural environment. All of us are waste generators and responsible by our daily behavior in various ways. Indonesia and Germany have had a long-standing cooperation in the field of waste management, stretching from infrastructure development to policy advice and capacity development. We equally recognize the strides the Indonesian government is currently taking to address pollution, such as the development of waste-to-energy plants, mandatory extended producer responsibility for packaging, as well as the overarching policy guidance inscribed in the roadmap last year. Looking at the challenges, we can observe that in Indonesia today, we can tell you that there have been many similar problems in the past in Germany too. Germany has had severe issues around pollution and mismanagement of domestic waste leading up into the 1990s. We can show you plenty of images of landfills, overcapacity, polluted rivers, and waterways. A circular economy and effective waste management needs to be enabled by a sound regulatory framework. And this is not a profitable business in itself. Since the early 1970s, Germany had around 65,000 dumping sites, many of them uncontrolled. Today, we have only 1,000 sanitary fills, mostly managed by local governments. What has made a decisive difference to address this was the strong political leadership to drive reforms forward, something that we are now equally observing in Indonesia. Reforms in Germany undertook crucial steps, such as the banning of uncontrolled landfilling and the development of the first mandatory extended producer responsibilities in 1981. Exactly these reforms are now spearheaded by the Indonesian government, which is great to see. Effective sector steering, together with our Indonesian partners, will be crucial. Bappenas and the relevant ministries to streamline efforts across relevant partner ministries. Equally, we support a coherent and effective donor coordination in the sector. As Germany is a key stakeholder of multilateral development banks active in the sector, we are keen to see that synergies between the donors and among the Indonesian government are being utilized. Reforming the waste management sector and advancing a circular economy presents tremendous economic opportunities. Just to highlight some figures from Germany. With our 84 million inhabitants, we generate around 430 kilograms household waste per capita. Our waste management sector employs more than 300,000 people in more than 10,000 companies, generating a revenue of about 100 billion euros per year. Germany is home to a range of companies that are market leaders globally in waste management and recycling, covering collection and sorting vehicles and machinery, emissions control, wastewater, leakage treatment, facility development, and technical research around environmental controls and testing. Reforming waste management and enhancing a circular economy is key to increase the resource efficiency and decrease resource dependencies, as well as growing the economy. However, it takes time and good planning to develop this sector sustainably. Therefore, we are keen to support Indonesia in this sector, and we see great opportunities in this bilateral cooperation between our two countries. I'm really looking forward to see this strategic cooperation advancing. Thank you very much. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Mr. Andreas, for sharing your remarks and perspective. Ladies and gentlemen, now we will hear a keynote speech from the Beauty of Food Affairs, Natural Resources and Environment for the Ministry of National Development Planning, Bappenas, to Bapak Leonardo Teguh Sambodo. The floor is yours.
Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Shalom, salve, om swastiastu, namo buddhaya, salam kebajikan, rahayu rahayu, and good afternoon to all of you. Honorable Mr. Andreas Forrester, Head of Delegation, Indonesia Jerman Government to Government Consultation Meeting from the Federal Ministry for Economic Cooperation and Development, or BMZ. Ibu Emi Suryandari, Head of Standardization and Industrial Services Policy, Ministry of Industry. Nice to meet you again, Bu. Ibu Hanifah Dwi Nirwana, Deputy for Waste Management, Waste and Hazardous and Toxic Materials from the Ministry of Environment that will join this meeting later on. Mr. Hans Ludwig Bruns, GIZ Country Director for Indonesia and ASEAN. Dr. Angelika Strauder, Counselor for Development Cooperation at the German Embassy in Jakarta, Bapak Nizar Marizi, the Director for Environment Bappenas, Mr. Thomas Ferich, Director for Urban Development and Special Assignments, Mr. Thomas Schneider, Head of Project InCircular, representatives of the Government of Germany and colleagues from GIZ, as well as officials from ministries, agencies, private sector, and development partners. Let me start by reflecting on the result of the world's most important gathering on climate action, the COP30 in Belém, Brazil. In this event, the world has once again shown that collective action and commitment are vital to tackling the climate crisis. A new global Mutiru, meaning collective efforts, was adopted in Belém, Brazil, targeting to double adaptation finance by 2025 and triple by 2035, endorsed to voluntary initiatives, which are Global Implementation Accelerator and Belém Mission to 1.5 degrees Celsius, and commitment to promote information integrity and counter false narratives. Moving forward, we must now turn this commitment into measurable progress through stronger policies, inclusive financing, and rapid deployment of green technologies. Additionally, the circular economy is also recognized to stand as a cornerstone against the climate crisis. The circular economy could contribute to mitigate efforts, achieving 40 to 49% of emission reduction, with 27 countries already outlining long-term roadmaps, including Indonesia. Nevertheless, there are challenges and opportunities to implementing the circular economy in Indonesia, such as overflowing landfills, a shortfall in recycling feedstock, and dependence on export markets. On the other hand, current trade agreements are shifting to green infrastructure and eco-friendly products, which are expected to accelerate the green and circular transition. Ladies and gentlemen, furthermore, the government of Indonesia has launched its Circular Economy Roadmap and Action Plan for 2025 until 2045. This document states that Indonesia have 5 priority sectors of circular economy, such as food, textile, electronics, construction, and plastic packaging, aiming to increase the national circular input rate, usage rate, as well as recycling rate. The Circular Economy Roadmap formulation utilizes the ISO 59000 approach to define indicators, strategies, and actions. This roadmap serves as the primary reference for developing programs and activities under our National Medium-Term Development Plan 2025 until 2029. Under President Prabowo, priority agenda number 2, the circular economy is already integrated to increase resource efficiency, strengthen food loss and waste management, promote eco-friendly products, and accelerate the recycling value chains. In particular to the Extended Producer Responsibility, or EPR, this scheme empowers producers to take full accountability for their products' life cycles, starting from the upstream in driving more sustainable design and production practices. At the downstream, EPR accelerates the collection of secondary material to be further used, remanufactured, repurposed, or recycled responsibly. In Indonesia, EPR is currently regulated under the regulation of the Ministry of Environment. Since 2019, 26 producers have submitted their EPR roadmaps, with 21 of them already implementing verified programs, reaching waste collection and processing of almost 80 tons per year. In the near future, we plan to strengthen the EPR schemes with the involvement of more relevant ministries, especially the Ministry of Industry. Distinguished ladies and gentlemen, we are gathering today in a good opportunity to start a new Indonesia-German cooperation in the circular economy, namely Circular Economy in Indonesia, or InCircular. This 5 years collaboration will not only be implemented at the national level, but also in 3 pilot provinces in East Java, Bali, and DKI and Jakarta. Additionally, the 3 material streams in the InCircular project, packaging, e-waste, and residue, are envisioned in the pioneers to pursue a closed-loop value chains and circular economy ecosystem. We have a high hope that this will increase Indonesia's economic growth and green job creation while preserving the sustainable environment. To conclude, as we look ahead, the path to a sustainable future depends on strong policy alignment that sets clear direction and shared responsibility. In this context, Bappenas will initiate a circular economy steering group to strengthen coordination and guide circular economy implementation across Indonesia. This platform is intended to ensure coherence across ministries, align national priorities, and provide a united direction for accelerating Indonesia's transition toward a circular and resilient economy. Equally important, industry collaboration and regional capacity building must go hand in hand to drive innovation and equitable progress. Above all, lasting change will only be achieved through genuine stakeholders' engagement, uniting all sectors toward a common vision of circular and resilient growth for Indonesia and for the Mother Earth. And InCircular will be the example of it. Thank you. Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Waalaikumsalam warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Thank you, Bapak Teguh. Please remain on stage for the next agenda. Ladies and gentlemen, distinguished guests, as we move to the next agenda, we will now proceed with the symbolic signing of the implementation agreement for the InCircular Project promoting a circular economy in Indonesia. This cooperation marks a strategic partnership between the Ministry of National Development Planning, Bappenas, and the German Federal Ministry for the Economic Cooperation and Development. I will now like to invite the representative from German, Mr. Hans Ludwig, GIZ Country Director for Indonesia and ASEAN. Please join us at the signing table. Ladies and gentlemen, we will now witness the symbolic signing of the implementation agreement of the InCircular Project. The signing InCircular Project start now. Ladies and gentlemen, let's give a big round of applause. We will now continue with a photo session. We kindly request both signatories to hold up the signing document and present them to the camera. Documentation in my count in 3, 2, and 1. One more time please in 3, 2, and 1. Alright, thank you Bapak Teguh and Mr. Hans Ludwig. We kindly invite the signatories to remain on the stage for a group photo session. Ladies and gentlemen, with this symbolic signing, we officially announce that the InCircular Project is now launched, marking the beginning of strengthened collaboration between Indonesia and Germany to advance circular economy effort. For the group photo session, we would like to invite Bapak Nizar Marizi, Director for Environment of the Ministry of National Development Planning, Bappenas, Mr. Andreas Förster, German Head of Delegation of G2G from the Federal Ministry for Economic Cooperation and Development, Mr. Thomas First, Director for Urban Development and Spatial Assignment, GIZ, Dr. Angelika Stauder, Counselor for Development Cooperation at the German Embassy in Jakarta, Mr. Thomas Schneider, Head of InCircular Project GIZ, Ibu Hanifa Dwi Nirwana, Acting Deputy for Waste, Toxic and Hazardous Materials Management of the Ministry of Environment, Ibu Emi Suryandari, Head of Standardization and Industrial Service Policy, Ministry of Industry, and Bapak Aditya Yusuf, Team Leader Plastic Solid Project ADB. And we also invite Bapak Joko from BPDLH to join us on the stage for the group photo session. Alright, ladies and gentlemen, please be ready. Group photo session on my count. In 3, 2, and 1. One more time please in 3, 2, and 1. Alright, thank you ladies and gentlemen. Now we will also to capture a collective group photo with all participants present today. We respectfully invite all VIP guests to step down and join the audience. And for the audience members, please remain where you are and stand up for a moment as the photo will be taken from the stage. We invite to all guests to stand up for a moment. We will take a picture together with all of you. Alright, ladies and gentlemen, please be ready. The group photo session on my count. In 3, 2, and 1. One more time, please. in 3, 2, and 1. All right, thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen. Please be seated. All right, ladies and gentlemen, before we next to the agenda, for this segment, we will invite all participants to take a part in short activity using Mentimeter, an online interactive platform. Our organizing team has prepared several questions, and we encourage everyone to join and participate. All right, now let's see the first question appearing on the screen. All right, ladies and gentlemen, you can use your gadget, your smartphone or laptop to access the Mentimeter link displayed on the screen. Everyone ready? All right, now let's see the first question appearing on the screen. Name 1, 2, 3 things Indonesia needs to do to successfully transition towards a circular economy. Please take a moment to read the question carefully and kindly submit your response through Mentimeter using your device. All right. We have ecosystem commitment, collaboration, of course, waste management, coordination, Marco, sustainable, regulation. All right, collaboration and commitment. All right, ladies and gentlemen, thank you very much for your active participation. We appreciate your time, your insight, and your engagement in this interactive session. All right, ladies and gentlemen, we will now continue with a presentation on InCircular Project Implementation Plan delivered by Mr. Thomas, Director for Urban Development and Special Assignment GIZ. Please welcome Mr. Thomas.
Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Salam sejahtera bagi kita semua. Shalom, Om Swastiastu, Namo Buddhaya. Salam kebajikan. Welcome, Deputy Pategu. Welcome, Ibu Hanifa. Belum datang, ya? Yeah. Then also welcome Ibu Emi Suryandari, Head of the Standardization and Industrial Services Policy from the Ministry of Industry. Also from the German side, a warm welcome to Dr. Andreas Förster from the German Ministry of Economic Cooperation and Development. Also, of course, dear colleagues, dear friends from Indonesian, sorry, can I have a sip of water, please? Yeah, dear participants from the Indonesian government, from the private sector, from development partners. Thank you for joining us today at this launch of the InCircular project. Today, with the signing of the implementation agreement, we have the formal green light to start the project, to start implementation. In the next couple of minutes, I would like to provide you some background and some insights into this project. Could I have the next slide, please? Wonderful. I would like to start with the following slide. And this case for action has already been made by my two previous presenters, by Pategu and Pa Andreas. I assume you will not be able to read the very details of this graph, but this is also not necessary. Let me explain. This is a prediction from the OECD from 2022. And on the x-axis, you see the time, and on the y-axis, you see the amount of plastic produced worldwide. This graph is going upwards, and it's going upwards exponentially. Especially in Asia, we expect that until 2060, the amount of plastic produced will grow almost fourfold. This problem is not going away. We will have to find ways how to deal with plastic, how to deal with waste, but we will also have to find ways how to change our approaches. If we can have the next slide, please. This is a result from our production, from our way of living. And if I look right now in the audience, I'm wondering whether you can guess where this is. The first picture you saw on the previous slide was in Manado, in northern Sulawesi. But these very pictures are not from Indonesia, they're not from Asia, they're from Germany. And not too long ago, Germany was facing the very same problems as Indonesia, that we kept producing garbage, that we kept piling up garbage. In the speech, Dr. Andreas Förster mentioned that in the 70s and 80s, we had roughly 65,000 dump sites. Right now, we have reduced this number to roughly 1,000 sanitary landfills. And if you allow me, this is not only some statistics and some abstract pictures. This is also something that affects us every day. This is something personal. And I would like to share a small personal story also at this point. I grew up in a small village in the northern part of Bavaria, roughly 5,000 people next to the city of Würzburg. And Würzburg was one of the cities destroyed most in World War II. So all the debris, all the leftovers from the city were moved next to my village. And a mountain of debris was created. And over the years, this mountain of debris from the city became such a site. It looked very similar. It became an illegal dump site, actually. And my soccer place, where I played soccer as a kid, was right next to it. So I used to play soccer next to this stinking, next to this unhealthy dump site. Yeah? This mountain had a name. In German it was called Schuttberg. The proper English translation would maybe be Mountain of Garbage, Gunung Sampah. Yeah? I'm happy. I still come back to this village every couple of years because my parents still live there. And now when I bring my son there, I'm very happy that this illegal dump site has been cleared, that this became right now an area for recreation, where there's playgrounds, where there's bicycle paths, where you can enjoy the nature. And believe me, this was on the one side true because of the reforms we made in Germany about waste management, but also believe me that this will not be enough worldwide. We have to adjust the way we live, we have to adjust the way businesses do business. If we can move to the next slide. With this slide, I want to show that our current way of consumption no longer works. The triple planetary crisis is also due to our behavior of producing, of buying, of using, of throwing away. We have to fundamentally change this. Only changing waste management will not be enough. We have to adjust the way we do business. We have to adjust we live and we consume. We have to move towards a circular economy, reducing the things we consume, reusing the things we use, and ultimately also recycling. Indonesia even went a step further and made out of these 3R, 9R. If we move to the next slide. Germany and Indonesia already have a strong cooperation in the area of circular economy, also with a focus on waste management. We have and we had a number of projects, both on the regional level, but also directly bilateral projects with Indonesia. As GIZ, we implemented a number of projects, and also KfW, the German Development Bank, has been implementing a number of such projects. However, the focus of these projects in the past was more in the area of identifying and developing infrastructure projects for waste management. With the InCircular project, we are adjusting this focus from the GIZ side, and we are moving more towards capacity development, policy development, and also engagement with the private sector. If we move to the next slide. With this slide, I would like to give you a short background into this project. On the timeline on the bottom end, you will see that this project was actually initiated in 2024 when Dr. Andreas Förster came to Indonesia to support the launch of the Circular Economy Roadmap and Action Plan from Bappenas. And Bappenas, Indonesia, and Germany agreed to focus in that bilateral development cooperation on circular economy with a focus on waste management. Over the next couple of months and years, this project has been thoroughly assessed, has been jointly developed with the Indonesian and the German side, and has been formally commissioned beginning of this year, and with the signing of the implementation agreement now in November of 2025, we can start the implementation of this very project. Bappenas is the political partner of the project, with further important implementation partners such as the Ministry of Environment, the Ministry of Industry, the Ministry of Home Affairs, and also regional governments. Of course, when we talk about waste management and circular economy, we also have to include the private sector and furthermore also the civil society in this project. The project will ultimately run until March 2029 and has an overall budget from the German side of 8.85 million euros. Next slide, please. The project focuses as a core on the Circular Economy Roadmap and Action Plan of Bappenas. In order to support the implementation of the said Roadmap and Action Plan, we are focusing on 4 mutually reinforcing pillars. Further information on these pillars you can also find outside in the foyer, where you find further information on activities, on partners, on budgets. Here I will leave it as a short overview. We are focusing on the one side on strategy, policy, and the regulatory framework. In this area, we are supporting the Indonesian government in the strategy development and also in the enhancement of the regulatory framework. Extended producer responsibility is a key area which has already been mentioned several times. We are furthermore trying to include the private sector, support the private sector to use their power to adjust their business models and ultimately also follow their responsibility. We want to also advance circular economy and waste management, thereby improving waste management in selected municipalities and provinces in cooperation with industry and civil society. Last but not least, of course, we will also focus on capacity development and awareness raising. I was a little bit surprised that in our Mentimeter, in the small game, awareness and behavior were not more prominent. We focused in the Mentimeter very much on coordination, on waste management, on policies, but we forgot a little bit, I had the impression, about us and our behavior. Next slide, please. Here you will find exemplary 4 activities which we started, respectively, which we are planning to implement. Activity, maybe let's start with a technical assistance for the mandatory EPR. You have heard a lot about EPR, and that EPR is a system to adjust the way of business, to adjust waste management, and to ultimately also give waste a price, and hence also make it lucrative as a business, and hence waste management financially sustainable. Another example is our focus on supporting regions and local governments to get ready for EPR. Thereby we want to focus especially on East Java and on Bali. Pategu mentioned already the importance of the coordination and the leadership role of Bappenas. We are very happy to support you, Pategu, in advancing this, in supporting you from the German side, also in making this coordination a reality. We are very much looking forward to the first such meetings. With this, I would also like to come to an end, and we hope that really this project can contribute to make our world a little bit of a better place, to contribute that Indonesia will become a little bit cleaner, our lives will be a little bit healthier. And hence, I hope that our children and grandchildren one day don't have to play football next to a Gunung Sampah. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Mr. Thomas, for the comprehensive overview of InCircular Project. Ladies and gentlemen, Indonesia is stepping into a bold and forward-looking era of sustainable development with the launch of the National Circular Economy Roadmap 2025-2045. Our nation is setting a clear direction, shifting from traditional economic practice toward a future built on sustainability and resource efficiency. In alignment with this national vision, today we commit the strengthening partnership between Indonesia and Germany through the official launch of the InCircular Project, promoting a circular economy in Indonesia. This occasion represents a significant milestone as we begin the collective journey of implementing the InCircular initiative. Alright, ladies and gentlemen, next we will continue with our next agenda, the panel discussion, Advancing Circular Economy in Indonesia. This session will bring insight from key institutions, including representatives from Bappenas, the Ministry of Environment and Forestry, Ministry of Industry, BMZ representative, and GIZ. To lead this discussion, we are pleased to invite our moderator, Bapak Aditya Yusuf. Bapak Aditya is a team leader of Plastic Solid Project ADB with extensive experience in circular economy. He holds a master's degree from environmental science from the University of Melbourne. One of his key milestones includes supporting policy development for Indonesia's circular economy transition and the Indonesian National Circular Economy Roadmap and Action Plan. Please join me in welcoming and give big round of applause to Bapak Aditya Yusuf.
So, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Good afternoon. Such an honor for me. My name is Aditya Yusuf, and as introduced by the MC before, that I'm the project team leader for Plastic Sulit. So Plastic Sulit is a circular plastic initiatives that's currently initiated in Ministry of Environment and also with the ADB. So in this opportunity, I think it is very important for us to celebrate the launch of this project InCircular, because I think this project will be very important to seeing the role of every participant here on how we will implement or have a transition to circular economy in Indonesia. Before I go and introduce our panel speakers, maybe I just want to have some highlights on the Mentimeter earlier. It's very interesting to see how everyone see the key enablers for circular economy in Indonesia. There is 2 points that I saw there, which is commitments and also collaborations. So I think commitments and collaboration will be a key points for all of us here before we could starting to have the circular economy transition. Obviously, everyone here, you are invited here to be able to contribute and also later to have your own role in the circular economy implementation together with the project InCircular. So I hope that we are still energized today because we are going to get into the panel discussions. The panel discussion itself called Advancing Circular Economy in Indonesia. And in this panel, we will have 4 amazing panelists actually coming from the institutions, also organizations. And they will share their views, insight, and also progress on how actually circular economy has been implemented in their own institution and also organization. So without further ado, I would like to invite all of our amazing panelists. First of all, I would like to invite the Deputy of Food Affairs, Natural Resources, and Environment from Ministry of Development Planning, Bappenas, Bapak Leonardo Teguh Sambodo. Pak Teguh, please join us into the stage. On to the next, I will invite also the Head of Standardization and Industrial Services Policy, Ministry of Industry, Ibu Emi Suryandari. Ibu Emi. Please welcome Ibu Emi. Yeah. The next one, I will invite the Coordinator of Producers Responsibility Governance from the Directorate of Waste Reduction and Circular Economy Development, Ministry of Environment, Bapak Ujang Solihin Sidik. Please welcome Pak Usol to the stage. And last but not least, the Head of Project InCircular, GIZ, Mr. Thomas Nader. All right, ladies and gentlemen, please, once again, give a round of applause for all our amazing panelists here. Thank you. So, Bapak Ibu, in this panel discussion, I think it's good for us to just keep the setting of the format of this discussion to be conversational setting, and also maybe just if you have any insights or views, just feel free to jump in and share it as you wish. So I will start with Pak Deputy, Pak Teguh. So the topic I would ask to you is more about the policy direction of the circular economy in Indonesia. As we know that Bappenas has already launched the Circular Economy Roadmap, I think last year, in mid last year. And would you share with us how is the progress of this roadmap itself so far, and also how can collaboration between the ministries and development partners can play a role in supporting the process.
Thank you, Mas Aditya, and thank you for this opportunity. When we developed the Circular Economy Roadmap and launched it in 2024, it was in July. It is also it was aiming also to become the input to influence on how the long-term development plan also can include this circular economy within one of its priority, within its game changer, meaning that we are going to develop this sector more comprehensively with the support from different sectors, including whether it is from public sectors as well as from private sectors. And as it has been mainstream or included in our long-term development plan, then we translate it into the medium-term development plan that was launched early this year. With the President agenda, priority agenda Astacita number 2, circular economy was included within the agenda on how Indonesia can improve our resilience, whether it is related to food, energy, and water, but also we look into potential new source of growth. And as we all already know that circular economy has a huge potentials on how we can create new added value from it. This become one of the focus on how we can engage more collaboration with different actors. We have been working with several partners, including the UN agency, as the collaboration at the consortium of UN agency, and now with GIZ, with the hope that we can start with one or two priority sectors, such as now it's plastic packaging with InCircular, the other with electronics, for example, for EV. And then we can also see on how different sectors, for example, in food loss and waste, we are working also with the Danish government. So we developed this collaboration with the hope that every priority sectors that have been outlined in the roadmap can be implemented. This year also marks our first support to our local government, the province, the West Java province, to develop the similar roadmap. This is because we would like also to have an alignment between national policy as well as a subnational policy. And West Java province becomes the first province that actually requests the assistance from Bappenas to develop a similar roadmap, because they have faced pressures with regards to landfills, and this become one strategy that they would like to adopt on how they can tackle the challenge, but as well as they also look into the possibility, the opportunity on how new value added can be created. So basically there is all. We are also developing together with the German embassy on how we can set up a steering group. That will support policy alignment, also to look into different potential collaboration, because there are many actually initiatives that have been started by different actors, including you, with the Ministry of Environment, and how this can be linked, on how we can then complement each other. Maybe as you work with the Ministry of Environment, also on plastic as well, with the ADB, then we can see the link between on how this can also complement and also to expedite or to accelerate the result. Hopefully we can also exchange information, improve our capacity by learning through peer learnings, And this will also allow us to replicate good practices, good approaches, or as well as finding solutions, whether it is in the forms of new technology, in the forms of policy, in the forms of practices. For example, as Pak Thomas also mentioned about improving literacy, the way how to tweak, to find the right angle to educate people, to be able to separate the waste is still a challenge for us. But I think by working together, this can be achieved. Another thing is about the EPR. With the Ministry of Industry, they are leading in this EPR. And then Ministry of Environment will define the regulation. So we need also to link the regulation on how this regulation can work at the industry level. So the steering group has a huge expectation, but as well as try to manage the expectation at a more feasible level. So working together, collaboration, commitment, as mentioned before, are important.
All right.
Thank you.
All right, thank you, Pak Teguh. So I think the point here is collaboration has been just right now mentioned by Pak Teguh, but knowing that a lot of stakeholders and actors have been involved since the launch of the Circular Economy Roadmap is very nice to hear. Pak Teguh basically mentioned about how everyone can work together, Pak. So I guess that the more the merrier, Pak, ya? So if everyone can have their own role and contribute, that would be great. Talking about the EPR later, I will also ask Pak Uso about this, but let me just save that. I'll move to the next panelist here, Ibu Emi. So Ibu Emi from the Ministry of Industry, basically, it will be interesting to know more about the role of industrial sector in advancing circular economy transitions. How does the Ministry of Industry basically plays their role? If there's any strategies that are currently being promoted for sustainable or green industry policies, they will be interesting to know if you can share, Bu.
Okay, thank you, Pak Aditya, ladies and gentlemen. So that's the good questions, especially when we are talking about the environmental issue. The most favorite actors is always industry. Yeah, some of it, yes, it could be, but some of it, I think this is the good opportunity actually for me from Ministry of Industry to explain regarding our policy, as mentioned with Pak Aditya, regarding the green industry. So the background why we have the green industry program in Ministry of Industry, because we would like to show that actually the industry in Indonesia is quite many numbers of industry has or have the understanding, have the awareness about how to conserve the environment, about how to preserve the environment issue when it comes to the utilizations of raw material. So that's why in our regulations, we call it as the undang-undang, is the highest level of the regulation in Indonesia. We mention about the green industry. Green industry is the goals of the industry in Indonesia. So we want that industry not always talking about the business, but they have to care about the environmental. Since we know that from the many ratification that we already have, industry, or we can talking about the sustainable development, have three aspects, have three pillars: the economic, the social, and the environment. And we really emphasize that the industry has to fulfill of all the three pillars in a very balancing way. So that's why we are talking about in our regulation, the definitions of the green industry. Yeah, the green industry definition is the industry with a production process which place priority on the efficiency and effectiveness in the sustainable use of resources to enable harmonization between industrial development and the preservation of environmental functions, as well as to benefit to the community. And actually, this is the principle we are trying to make it the focus. Yeah, so we have many actions to be focused on the how green industry can be implemented. The first thing for the resource efficiency. So because we already know that actually there are many technology that can be used by the industry in order to make sure that the resource efficient utilization in their processing, in their production process can be used, can be optimized. And also the second one is about how we can choose to produce the green product and also using the eco-friendly raw material, if available. Yeah, because not all of the material can be substituted in the eco-friendly raw material, so that's why we have to very detailed take a look into the consideration when it comes to the change source of the raw material. The third one is the focus is for the clean energy utilizations. As we know that issue of the issue for the energy in Indonesia is still very attractive, yeah, because some of say that we have to replace the fossil fuel, become the renewable, but somehow it's still there are many effort as well from the government and also from the other stakeholder. The fourth one is about how we can use the low carbon technology for the emission reduction and waste management. The number five is for the sustainable standard. Yeah, we have to make sure that our industry, in order to produce the product, they have to fulfill both international standard or the national standard in accordance with our needs. And the number six, this is what we are talking for today, circular economy implementations. So actually we in Ministry of Industry, together with industry, already put the circular economy, yeah, to be one of the focus in order to make sure that our industry can have the competitiveness both in the national market as well in the global market. We have the focus, and also after that as the government, we have the strategy, but how we can implement that one. As mentioned, that we can say from the regulation itself, from the facilitation, it can be incentive, both fiscal and also non-fiscal. And also, but we are also create the green industry standard. This is the things that already understood with the industry. Green industry standard is the standard for us in order to put the label green industry for each commodity from the production of the industry. And also, if audience see when we were playing Mentimeters before we start our discussion today, the most thing important is how to create the ecosystem. Yeah, if we just talking about the waste management only, if we just talking about the market, if we just talking about the production, but we are not trying to put everything in the one line together from the beginning until the end, so I'm not sure that the circular economy implementation can be running smoothly. So that's why in this case, the ecosystem, it has to be created, and it's the responsibility from all of us, all stakeholders. And I think from this discussion, we can try to have the, ini Pak Teguh, but have the strategy to make sure that we are now moving, really moving, and take the serious consideration about how we create the ecosystem for the circular economy implementation in Indonesia. From the producer, from the industry, from the market, and also from the regulator, we have to working together in order to make sure that ecosystem can be running very well in the future. I think that's from my point of view.
All right, thank you, Ibu Emi. I think that's a good point here raised by Ibu Emi, where we all need the same understanding. I think we need the common understanding on what circular economy is, and I found that what Pak Teguh also earlier mentioned, that circular economy is not only waste management, it also includes resource efficiency. I think it's very aligned with what has been mentioned by Ibu Emi. So I think this will be very important, because if we cannot do circular economy thoroughly if we don't have such a common understanding, ya, Bu, Pak. And I believe that Pak Uso also has the same understanding. So maybe for Pak Uso, for next question, I would like to ask more about the EPR, Pak, EPR development. So I believe all the participants here also, they might have these questions already in mind about what is the current development of the EPR regulations, because currently Ministry of Environment is drafting the mandatory EPR regulation for packaging. And how do you think the EPR regulation can be rolled out effectively across Indonesia? Because we know that our country has a very diverse geography, different culture, administration, etc. So this might be a quite challenging question, but please, Pak Uso. I think everyone wants to hear that.
Yeah. Thank you, Aditya. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Very good afternoon for all of you. Yeah, actually, in my personal point of view, I work with this issue since 2010, actually. So I'm very happy that this issue is become a mainstream issue in Indonesia. So about 15 years, this EPR issues become strong issue, and it is very important for us, for Ministry of Environment. This issue very important, because when we are talking about the solid waste management in Indonesia, we know there are so many actors, so many subjects, so many actors should be involved in this process. Maybe back to 15 or 20 years, we only know is only two actors, government and community, citizen. But when we put the producer as additional actors, additional main actor, this is very important. So I think collaboration, sharing responsibility is the key to strengthen, to answer this issue, the EPR policy and regulation in Indonesia. So actually, I'm very happy personally. This issue become more strong issue in Indonesia, and so many stakeholders join to help support us as government, not only from producers, private, or also from community, from NGO, and etc. etc. So I think this is the good momentum for us to accelerate this process, how to make the EPRs is really mandatory. Actually, based on our regulation, is strongly mentioned. This is already mandatory, but the implementation is another story. So from this kind, I think since this year, we actually have so many discussions, so many intensive discussion, consultation, debate with all stakeholders to make it really mandatory EPR in Indonesia. So one of our effort to make this happen is we are now in the process to strengthen our regulation, because there are several aspects. And when we are talking about the EPR governance, there are at least three main aspects, three main components that are missing in our existing regulation. So we are now trying to put in our future regulation. We are now preparing the presidential regulation, including in the aspect of the EPR or producer responsibility. There are three main aspects that we are going to strengthen in Indonesia. The first one is about the PRO, Producer Responsibility Organization, because in our existing regulation, we don't mention at all about this institution, about this scheme or mechanism. So the first thing we are going to put in our new future regulation is how we can establish and run PRO in Indonesia. The second one is about registration system, because this issue also missing in our existing legislation, because registration process is important things to make EPR or EPR policy and regulation works well, based on our experience with another country, like also in Germany. So registration system of the product is very important. So we also want to recognize this aspect, this component into our regulation. The third one is about when the PRO establish and run this business, I think the government side should surveillance, should evaluate, should evaluate, surveillance the PRO performance. So the third thing we are going to put in our regulation is about the, I don't know exactly in English, but we call it Dewan Pengawas PRO, or Board of Surveillance of this PRO performance. We can call it. So these things, these three things is already put in our future regulation. So during this week, I think last week, we have very intensive discussion on this regulation, the proposed, the Rancangan of Peraturan Presiden, of the draft of Presiden regulation, and continue this week's very intensive meeting, discussion, consultation with minister and agency in here in Indonesia. And tomorrow, actually, we invite Minister of Industry, invite the Minister of Health, we invite the BPOM, the related ministry and agency to the EPR system. So we invite tomorrow. We will have a discussion how to accelerate this process to make the mandatory EPR is established and work well in Indonesia. So we also happy that the collaboration is key. I think we need all to collaborate in this process, so make it accelerate. We can accelerate this process because based on our minister's assignments, his excellency was this process can finish this year actually. this next year December, so we can have the new regulation about not only about the mandatory EPR, but all aspect of the solid waste management, make it better, make it proper in the next future, I think, because this regulation not we call it a Jaksanas policy and strategy of the solid waste management at the national level and also at the local level. So we hope this process can be, hopefully can be accelerate this process. And of course, when we are talking about the implementation, is this challenges issue. The most challenges issue in Indonesia is about the implementation. When we have a geographical issue, administrative issue, and so on, when we are talking about this issue, not only EPR, mandatory EPR, the solid waste management in general also face this problem. So I think we have to set up a strategy how to implement this mandatory EPR properly based on Indonesian context. So we are now in discussion, I think we have to make a priority area when we already have this regulation, and we should set up the priority area. So we think about the criteria, the implementation of mandatory. We can start with the big cities in Jawa, the biggest market share of the product, the best infrastructure, the best collection system, and also the best recycling facility. So based on this certain criteria, I think we can start to accelerate this process. Hopefully it can run smoothly. Next year, hopefully, we can start to run this process smoothly. And we need support from OU, I think, and yeah, GIZ can also support this process, how we can accelerate this regulation, this policy regulation and implementation.
Yeah.
I think, thank you.
Okay, thank you, Pak Uso, for sharing. So this progress of EPR has been going forward now, Pak. I think it's very interesting now also to hear that there's a plan for Ministry of Environment to have the board of PRO, and earlier Pak Teguh also mentioned about having the steering committee of circular economy, and how I think it's good if we can align that, Pak, later maybe how to see all this board can be harmonized. Yeah. All right, let's move to the next speaker here. We have Pak Thomas. My question for Pak Thomas, because Pak Thomas is the project lead of InCircular, we would love to know what are the priority areas of InCircular project. Could you share with us?
Okay. Yeah, good afternoon, everybody. I'm really happy that so many people came and there's so much interest in this topic. So a lot of good points were already taken, so let's see if I can still add something.
Sure.
Yeah, very often when we talk about circular economy, we tend to speak a lot of waste management. Yeah, it's very often the discussion goes into this direction, and of course that's a very pressing topic. But circular economy actually is way broader. Yeah, and also as other speakers already mentioned, so we have to find a different way how we do business. Yeah, and actually the circular economy is like reinventing, yeah, how we do business and how we run our economy. And so even though sometimes, yeah, the arrows that are linear and then go to circular, that looks very simple. Yeah, but actually we are talking here really about like a very complex transformation of industries. Yeah, and this will affect basically every step of the value chain of a company, from how you procure goods, how you design products, how you manufacture products, how you sell products, and then later how you take them back eventually, and also how you manage your waste. So this is quite a huge challenge, and it needs a lot of support. So I just wanted to put that into that dimension, yeah, because then also for me it's like, it's a bit clear why it's important that we have to work together, because that is something that nobody can do alone or like for the own organization. Yeah, so we really have to join forces there, and therefore this idea of having this circular economy steering group, I think it's a great idea. Then we also mentioned the topic of policies that are so important. We're talking a lot of EPR and it has to be mandatory, and I think there's a lot of agreement on that. From the private sector side, one of the most important things is reliability. Yeah, because they have plans, they have long-term plans, investment plans, so they have to be sure that something that we kind of announce or plan will actually come. I think they can handle mandatory policies, Yeah, but what would be problematic for them is like if we change a lot on that way, because then planning becomes a problem, and then the buy-in also of the private sector might not be as strong. And then maybe as last point, municipalities, when we're now talking about waste management, they are probably the ones who have to do a lot of that work and have to implement a lot of changes and new things. So we have to help them. We have to do capacity building also on the provincial level, yeah, for the municipalities, create the capacities there so that they are actually able to then transition to a new way of managing waste, yeah, in that sense. Yeah.
All right. Thank you, Pak Thomas. So obviously that's for the stakeholders itself, not only just the government as the regulators here has the role, right? Obviously we need the active contribution of the private sectors, as you mentioned, municipalities also as a subnational government.
Civil society,
has a very,
informal sector.
has a very important role here. So I guess also this relates to my next question to Pak Teguh here, Pak, because we know that for circular economy implementation, a multi-stakeholder partnership will be important. So, is there any strategies from government, Bappenas specifically, to encourage the multi-stakeholder partnerships? This is important to shift our linear or business as usual practice from linear to circular economy.
Okay, thank you for the questions. Responding also to Ibu Emi about the need to develop the ecosystem, and then Pak Uso, that we are going to complement with multiple, alignment or streamlining the regulations and policy, as well as from Pak Thomas, whether it's possible also to look into, can I simplify it, how to find the low-hanging fruit that everyone can work together. That's the first challenge. And then we think again, what is the plan on how to work together, and what type of challenge that become the root cause of this, whether it is literacy, whether it is financing, whether it's technology. And then once we understand about this, we create division of labor among everyone that will involve. And then we try also to look into how can we measure the progress, the result, and how can we learn. How we can learn from the results and then evaluate. Then we can also create maybe new approach, improve the current policy. It is a cycle actually. So I think we need to start small, but the ones that we ensure that this will create a successful showcase to improve confidence, to improve trust, and to grow the culture of working together in this area. And then, of course, there will be more challenges. There will be new challenges that we can find in the field. So sandboxing is also important. So we are not going to directly respond with regulation, with guidelines and others, but maybe we can also engage experts, universities, to try to define these new challenges and create a space for us to learn together, sandboxings, meaning that maybe then we can create new approach. So this is a learning curve that always happens in the development process. But we need to maintain this and also to provide the opportunity for everyone to contribute. So maybe this is the way to start.
Thank you, Pak Teguh. Very interesting to hear that the sandboxing, I think it's something that also very potential, Pak. And especially with having Bu Emi here, Pak Uso, I think from the Ministry of Industry, if that's something possible, maybe it's something we can dig in later. Bu Emi, moving to the next question for the circular economy in industrial sector. What do you think the key challenges and opportunities that the industrial sector currently face in the transition to circular economy?
Okay. Actually, it's easy to describe.
Yeah.
But it's very hard to draw the strategy, yeah, because as I mentioned that it's need the commitment as well from all of the stakeholders. So, but basically the challenges why we are talking about when we are talking about how to make sure that the circular economy implementations can be done in a very good way from the sector industry. The first one is we are talking about the supply domestic, yeah, the supply domestic circular material itself. Yeah. Industry, when they are starting the production, of course the raw material is one of the most critical issue in this case. And when we are talking about the raw material itself, we are talking the combinations between the quantity, between the quality, and also regarding the continuity. Yeah, those three aspects has to be made in order to make sure that the industry can produce their product and meet the requirement of the customer. Yeah, and somehow also we are facing that when we are talking about the virgin material price, yeah, in Indonesia, when we are talking about the product with the green label, somehow it's not cheaper than we are using the virgin material. I don't know in the foreign country, but that is quite happen in Indonesia, yeah. So that's why this is very challenging actually for the industry. In order if we ask them to produce the green product, then we as the government we also have to make sure give the guarantee that they can have the supply of the raw material and meet the demands of the industry itself. The second one is the high cost of the technology and also the infrastructure. Yeah, so that's why in this case, of course, we are talking about the investment. And the third one is regarding the market. As I mentioned that industry will produce the product in accordance to meet what the market wants to have. Yeah. If the market's always talking about the price, this is actually the responsibility of the government in order to raising the awareness of the market that actually we are not only talking about the price, we also have to talking about the quality. We also have to talking about the impact if they are using the product which is not green product. Yeah. So, and also I know that there is some different point of view between developing countries and developed countries. Yeah. In developing countries, it's quite often that we are talking about something. This is the very good quality of the product. We are using the good raw material and the environmental friendly of the raw material, and somehow the customer start to talking about. But how about the price? Yeah, this is very challenging actually, not only for the industry but also for the government. And also the last one is regarding the capacity and the competency. Yeah, so that's why I'm very happy, Pak Teguh, when Bappenas starting and creating regarding the green jobs. Yeah, yeah, green jobs is one of the nice exit way in order to make sure that the implementation of circular economy in Indonesia will be conducting by people who has the competency, the right competency, and the correct capability regarding the circular economy. That's the challenges, but also we have to be optimistic. Yeah, government, whatever the barriers, whatever the difficulties, we still have to be optimistic. The potential that we have to take into consideration as well regarding the economic growth. Yeah, we do believe that when the circular economy implementation can be running in Indonesia very well, then it will create the economic growth. Why? As I mentioned, it will create new jobs, and we call it as the green jobs. Yeah, and also for the image. Yeah, somehow in this world, I think industry as well, they're starting the circular economy. They're starting for the resource efficiency. It's not driven by the policy. Somehow they are driven by the customer. Yeah. So that's why in this case, the customer participation, not only in Indonesia, but also from the outside, from the international market, also take or play important role in order to drive the producer in Indonesia, drive the industry that they have to produce the product with label green product. Yeah, it can be using the good raw material, it can be using the efficient process, it can be using that they use technology in order to produce to control the waste, etc. And also green financing. Yeah, we know that actually, as mentioned also, that many international institution, organization, they also very have the commitment in order to give the strong support for the green financing. And the last one is the opportunities is about how we as the government can convince the industry that by doing circular economy, they will be able to saving the cost. Yeah, cost saving. If it as industry, what they are concerned, what the importance is not talking about the environment. It's not talking about the social. When we're asking about the industry, what they are very, very eager to have is about how they can save the cost of the production. Yeah, we from all of the success story, we can convince them that by implement the circular economy, by maybe such as reuse, reduce or recycle, actually they can save the cost because they do not need they don't need to use the very virgin material. They can use it the material from the recycled one, from the reused one. Yeah, and I think this is a very, very good example if we can show them the evidence, the proven evidence that it can be it can be save the cost maybe $1 million or $1 billion, because what the language of the industry is about the saving of the cost production. I think that's one.
All right. Thank you for sharing, Bu Emi. So I might go also for Pak Oso for the same question. Pak Oso, do you think that Ministry of Environment also see these challenges happened in the point of view of the environment? I mean, for the EPR specifically, if it's going to be implemented, how to keep the balance between public interest and also the challenges from the point of view of the industry?
Yeah, of course, during our discussion with stakeholders, especially with the producers, with the private sectors, several issues emerged about how we can implement this EPR policy and regulation in Indonesia effectively, efficiently, smoothly. So, of course, it's not easy for us. It's a challenges issue, but yeah, during the session, we identified several things that raised in our discussion. I can mention several things. For example, is about how we can build the effective PROs. And of course, with its governance, how to run PRO effectively, efficiently. This is a big challenge, I think, for us, because it's the first time we will build this PRO. So the issue is how to build efficient, effective, agile, and also how to make it run well. This is the first issue during our discussion, the challenges issue, how to make it happen. And the second one is about I think some of the audience also involved in this discussion is how we can decide it, we can agree with PRO, it is a single PRO or a multiple PRO. This is, we are have intensive debate on this issue because some of us want to make a single PRO system, but another wanted multiple PRO system. This is very long discussion on this, and for us, for government, is good input actually. How government can decide which one is the better, which one is a proper PRO. So many inputs that we already received from the discussion about the single versus multiple PRO. The next one is about the product registration system. It's also the challenges issue for us, because when we are talk about the registration system in Indonesia, there are, I think two line agency in Indonesia has responsibility to in the context of the registration system, because when the product put on the market, there's two institutions in Indonesia, BP POM and also Ministry of Health, who have responsibility to make a license in product when the product want to put into market. So we also have a very intensive discussion about this because, based on our experience with another country like Germany, how EPR can run smoothly is about the key issue is the registration system. The product, when the product want to put into market, so it should be registered in this system. So how we can effectively build the system, how we can build this smooth system on this registration process is also challenges for us. The next one is about profit and non-profit PROs. It's also, we have a big discussion on this issue. Whether we can start with the non-profit or we can start from the beginning with the profit PRO. We talk very much. We talk much in this issue. So we haven't yet decided which one's proper for Indonesia, but the input from discussion, I think, is very important for government to choose which is the proper one, which is the better one. And also about the data and management of data information is also a crucial issue, because when we are talking about data, it's related to the confidential issues. This is also the big issue when we are talking about the product registration, data information, reporting, and so on. So this is several things that emerged during our discussion on this issue. So hopefully we yeah, we can continue to discuss, to work together to find the solution, to find the better solution, the better option, so we can accelerate this process smoothly.
Right, thank you, Pak Uso. So, Pak Uso mentioning about the system, specifically on registration system, mechanism of the PROs itself, about the data. Bu Emi mentioned about infrastructures, challenges, also about the high cost of transitioning to circular economy for industry. Also strategic partnership before mentioned by Pak Teguh here. I might want to ask in the perspective for InCircular, how is this project actually can support or might be relevant to what challenges that have been mentioned by our other speakers before. Pak Thomas.
Yeah, thanks. So how can GIZ support? So what GIZ does is we provide technical assistance. We also have colleagues here from the KfW. They are the ones who provide financial assistance. So that's a bit the division of tasks. So how do we do it, providing technical assistance? First of all, we have an excellent team within InCircular. We have experts on policy, strategy development. We have experts on waste management, capacity building. So I can just talk to them, yeah, and you will, I mean, most of them you know already, yeah, but they really know a lot about of those things. We are discussing similar things that Pa Usu mentioned, yeah, from how to set up a PRO, yeah, should it be one, should it be two, yeah, and we then provide on demand. Yeah, if there's, let's say, some study or investigation needed to address a technical question, then in many cases we are able to provide some guidance. If we are not able, yeah, with our own team, then we are able, I would say, we can get any expert that would be needed. Yeah, so for example, as part of the EPR working group, there were some specific questions, and we were able to actually get leading experts from Germany, yeah, since we went through similar, you know, experience and questions, and we then briefed them. We were able to prepare the questions, and that was then went back into this working group. So that's a bit of an example how we provide technical assistance.
Okay, thank you, Pak Thomas. So, yeah, I guess that we've learned a lot from what our speakers have shared today. We have still a little bit time. I think we can open for a question, just one question from the audience. I will invite for the ladies. There only one. I'm sorry. I think we've had a very limited time here. Please introduce yourself and also
thank you,
question to address
Pak Adit, moderator. My name is Dini Trisyanti. I'm from Sustainable Waste Indonesia. I have a question for all of the panelists, if I may. Yeah, for the first question to Pak Teguh, Bappenas. We know that in Indonesia, waste management sector deals with three Kemenko, yeah, coordinating ministries, infrastructure, pangan, yeah, food, and then economy. So, do you see this as a risk for coordination, and how do you, how Bappenas perceive these three Kemenko challenges and how to mitigate it? That's a question for Pak Teguh. And for Ibu Emi, I have a question also. I've heard that Minister of Environment now is preparing roadmap for circular economy in industrial sector. Could you please elaborate what kind of sectors are included in this regulation? Is it which kind of manufacture? Whether it's maybe textile or maybe electronic, or maybe what kind of breakdown of the industries that will be included. And for Pak Uso, my question would be, is there any estimate timeline about the public consultation, Pak, for APREPES? So Rapper Press is now being prepared, and I heard it's already been discussed with ministries. My question will be, when will it be discussed with wider public consultation? I mean, and do you think by that time that the issues of data privacy, the issues of registration has already been solved by that time? The last question will be for Pak Thomas. Yeah. Under this program, will the scope is limited to industries or sectors that is already in the roadmap of Bappenas, circular economy, or it will be wider sector? For example, like maybe tires, used tires from automotive, it's quite having a high economic value, and also maybe lubricants oil. Yeah, it's also have huge economic values. Although this is a hazardous waste, I mean, I'm just asking whether this can be included in the program. Thank you.
Okay, I guess I just pass it to the speakers because it's very specific for each.
Terima kasih Ibu Dini. Thank you Ibu Dini for the questions. I would like also to suggest that when we develop collaboration, I think the best way to do is to engage with the one that is ready. So without thinking too much about should we involve everyone or not. So start it with the one that is ready, and then we can expand in the process on how. But at the same time, please be open to the possibility that other will join. But as well as we can also actively promote this collaboration to engage them. Of course, with the current structures of the line ministries and also coordinating ministries, it seems that new silos have been built. Yeah, but actually, having these three coordinating ministry, meaning that they can actually help us also to for the bottlenecking of any hindrance or any problems in the implementations. So we still need them according to their own respective authority to help us also to move things around. So I think the way to look into these structures is to optimize the best or the most optimal role from each to contribute to the success of the project. I think that is my question.
All right, thank you, Pak Teguh. I'll pass it to...
My answer.
Yeah. Yes. Next question about the priority sectors from the Ministry of Industry.
Yeah, thank you, Pak Ditya. So, Bu Dini, we are very open. Actually, we are in Ministry of Industry, we are very open. If there is need to expand or to have the additional sector, the add-on sectors. But for the first phase that we are formulating right now, we are still focused on the sectors of the industrial sectors which are related with what the documents Bappenas say, yeah, such as already mentioned about the packaging. The packaging in here, we are focused on the plastic and also for the paper packaging, and also for the textile, the electronic, metal, as well as glass and ceramic. And I also agree with what Pak Teguh said, that we are starting with the which sector which ready for it. Why? Because when they are ready and they are success, then we can use them as the what we call as the national lighthouse, yeah, as the mercusuar for all of the industrial sector. That hey, actually, this is very good example. They can have the cost saving. They can prove that they have the ratio of the utilizations of the green material in a very good number, good way. And I think this is, I mean, because the industry always have the same language, as I mentioned, yeah, they are much more strongly have the belief when they show or when they see the real success story in front of them. So that's why I strongly agree with Pak Teguh that we can start with the sector which are almost ready, because it's much more easier for us and for them. And actually for the Nasional as well, it can be like the showcase that this is the things that can be done in Indonesia. Thank you.
Okay, I hope that answers that very relevant sectors together with what has been mentioned in the circular economy roadmap by Bappenas, ya, Bu Emi. Next, maybe still relevant to the sectors, I'll ask Pak Thomas about the questions on whether InCircular will focus on
thanks,
the sectors.
Ibu Dini. The guiding document for us, that's true, is the Circular Economy Roadmap and Action Plan. So there the material streams are defined. Maybe also, like, we don't work alone, we always work together with our partners. Yeah, it's always like a co-creation. So also when we do operational planning or strategic planning, it's always with our partners together. Yeah, so in that case, yeah, we would then actually consult with our partners. Maybe there's a low-hanging fruit, yeah, and then it might be possible. If it's too much of a change, then we also would have to consult with the BMZ, yeah, if this is still in the framework of our proposal. But that would be the way to go.
All right, so that's also aligns, basically, is the priority sector that has been set in the circular economy roadmap. Okay. Last question for Pak Uso. Please mention about the timeline.
Thank you, Dini. To be honest, jujurly, kata orang Jawa, I don't know when this will be conduct the public consultation, because there's still another process, and the timeline is not only depend on us, but only depend on another institution, especially Kementerian Setnek-nya, Sekretariat Negara, because when we already finish the discussion of the draft, we need the, actually, I don't know in English, izin prakarsa process from the Setnek. When we already received the izin prakarsa from the Setnek, and we can start the, we call it PAK, public pembahasan antar kementerian, interministerial discussion, and we don't know how many PAK will conduct during this process. Maybe 3, 4, or 5 discussion on this. So after interministerial discussion, and then we'll follow with the public consultation. And we also don't know how many public consultation we will conduct on this process. So, to be honest, we still know when we can conduct the public consultations. Hopefully, as soon as possible. But actually, we cannot answer this question. Actually, thank you.
Okay, so thank you, Pak Uso. And one more question, actually. We can still open the floor. I hope it is okay for the speakers. Hopefully it's not for each. Anyone wants to questions? All right.
Thank you very much. Marcella from Germany, the Ministry of Development and Cooperation. And I would like to ask about what you were talking. It's more general, not for a specific person, but in general. It goes about readiness, awareness, acceptance, ownership in the country, and collaboration. Of course, it has to be thought wider. So I think lessons learned, what you mentioned, is very important, to have a project to see how it's going and to use it for other projects, to increase the cooperation in the sector. The other question would be how to increase the awareness that would go together with readiness. If we increase the awareness about the importance of the sector, then the readiness from the actors, and the private sector, of course, is one very important actor in this. How can we improve this, think it together with our projects, to be able to open more doors towards the circular economy, not only to have a national plan, but also to get the people and let the private sector into the awareness to understand how important it is, not only for the climate change, but also for the industry. Thank you.
So sorry, I didn't catch the first question. Could you please repeat?
How to improve, increase the awareness, and it goes together with collaboration with all the actors, not just one sector.
All right,
but
so
all.
only one question. All right, thank you. So I think we can have a short answer for this for everyone. This is might be yeah. I think everyone can answer this. Who wants to start? All right, Pak Thomas.
Yeah, I think it's a good question. For this is also a challenges issue for us how we are build the awareness for all stakeholders, especially for industry, for the producers, because I already mentioned about this. I actually personally start discussion on this since 2010. It's not easy actually to convince. I think we have to convince the producer, the industry, that this policy, this regulation is not a burden. It should be a business opportunity to build the sustainable business, I think. The efficiency, the cost saving and so on. This is I think the key factors that we should deliver to the industry to make them to convince them this process is good for your business. Actually, this is my I usually use this approach when we are talking with the producers. I always say to the producer, this is should be not a burden. This should be a good business opportunity, the good sustainable business opportunity for the future, not only for at the present, but for the future. So I always mention about the efficiency. I always mention the cost saving when we are talking about the producers to convince them this is good for them. This is my point of view about this thing.
All right. Anyone wants to add? Ibu Emi, please.
Yeah. So it's very good question, and actually it's hard to give the short answer. But basically, increasing the awareness and readiness, it cannot be only one single approach. It has to be approach for the all multi-sectors. Why? Because it's involving the educations, involving the policy change, including involving as well about when we are talking about the business model shifting, and also the consumer engagement. I will take an example as for the educational stage. As I mentioned, that actually the circular economy principle, it has to be integrated into education. Yeah, so start from the teenager, or maybe start from the like the elementary. Yeah, it has to be integrated into the educational or into the curriculum regarding what is the circular economy, and also but how to and also the engagement for the public, and like how we can engage and also promote the sustainable behaviors. Yes, I mentioned that consumer, especially in developing countries, the things with the green, they very like to hear, oh, it is very green. But when we asking about to buy it, and then as I mentioned as well in the beginning, price-wise, it still become the considerations. For the industry, of course, increasing awareness and readiness, it will need the commitment as well, because they have to somehow redesign the product itself, yeah. And also after that, they have to investing the technology. And the most important thing, but they have to start the collaboration for the supply chains. Yeah, that's why I'm talking about the ecosystem. Yeah, before they are using A, they have to change become B, and it has to be meet where is the quantity, the quality, and as well the continuity. It has to be guaranteed. So this is the supply chain collaboration. The very important things in this case. And the last one is for the government. Yeah, it has to be moved together. Cannot be just only for the industry. Government always asking industry, you have to be A, B, C, D, E. But the government itself is not moved as well. Then the circular economy will not be implemented. Yeah, for sure, I can guarantee that one. For the government, of course, we have to make the policy, which can be, like the harmonizations of the policy. Yeah, it cannot be policy A, but the policy A will be goes to north, the policy B will go to the east, yeah, and all of the policy talking about the circular economy. Yeah, we cannot meet in the some agreement, we cannot meet in have the same framework, so that's why the policy, it has to be harmonized, and also about the led by example actually. Yeah, we have the national budget. Yeah, Pak Teguh, why we cannot asking? Yeah, for the sum of the project which using the national budget is something like the TKDN, Pak Teguh. Yeah, some project which using the national budget, we can ask to give the priority to use the material which produced from the circular economy concept. Yeah, because we also have the regulation for the national content. Yeah, for the national content, when the government using the national budget, they have to use the product which produce domestically. Yeah, and we call it as the TKDN. Tingkat komponen dalam negeri, yeah, the national component. So I think for the circular economy can be started from that point as well. This is kind of the lead by the example to increase the awareness and to make sure the readiness of the industry and also all of the stakeholders. Thank you.
Thank you, Bu Emi. Pak Teguh.
Masih ada waktu?
Yeah, sure, Pak. Please.
Oh, dan nol ya.
No, we have some time to answer.
I would like also to complement what Pak Uso has explained. That actually this is always a challenge. Once we have a good plan, a good document, development plan, then the challenge is always how to make it works at the grassroots level. So I think we are going to work on this, Pak Thomas, for InCircular, using the plastic packaging as an example. Because when we are talking about literacy, awareness, then we need also to stand on the community side, meaning that they need something that is affordable, meaning that they have the bin. Also in many countries, the government is providing the standard of the waste bin for organic, for non-organic, yeah, or for can, paper, and other. And it is accessible, so affordable, accessible, something that the small infrastructure that can tackle the last mile of having the behavioral change. Because without this accessible, standardized, and affordable infrastructure, we still have challenges on how to make sure the changes in behavior can be accelerated. Another thing is about the government services, because literacy also comes into the on how government can also make sure that the collection is timely, that the collection can be close to the housing complex. So this kind of approach need to be discussed and implemented. And for this, actually, we have put several plans together with the Ministry of Environment as well as the Ministry of Public Works. We are now working together to prepare a special circular from these three ministries, Bappenas, the Ministry of Environment, as well as the Ministry of Public Works, for managing on how the municipality waste can be managed well, how the collection can be managed well. Of course, we will not require separation as a mandatory, but at least we improve the current the governance of the current collection process, management process, processing process. This hopefully can improve the response from the community to also participate. The waste bank, for example, in several areas, they are quite successful in educating the communities, but always not all communities participate. So it takes time for to increase the participation, and this kind of effort have been recorded, and now we are working together with the other two ministries, and hopefully if later on we agree on how we can also use the same database and how we can improve the planning at the grassroots level, then maybe later on whether it can become presidential instruction or that law that provide the guidelines for us to work together.
All right. Okay, Pak Teguh, thank you. So, last word from Pak Thomas.
Yeah, just very quickly. So maybe one thing we could also do is to educate future business leaders. In Indonesia. Work with universities and business schools, so that from the beginning that becomes kind of part of the curricula. That would be an easy win, maybe.
All right, great. So thank you very much for all the distinguished speakers here. Please give a round of applause for everyone. So that concludes our discussions for today. Thank you very much. I apologize if there's any shortcomings within the discussion. So that will be it. Thank you, Pak Teguh, Bu Emi, Pak Uso, Pak Thomas. We wish successful implementation of the InCircular project ahead. I'll pass the floor for the MC again. Thank you very much. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Waalaikumsalam warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Thank you, Bapak Aditi and all speakers. We will now proceed with a group photo session. We kindly invite everyone to move toward the front area of the stage for the group photo session. Alright, we will do the group photo session first. So we kindly invite to all speakers to move toward the front area of the stage. Alright, ladies and gentlemen, group photo session on my count. In 3, 2, and 1. One more time, please. In 3, 2, and 1. Alright, thank you, ladies and gentlemen. You may now return to your seat. Once again, thank you, Bapak Aditya Yusuf, and to all our distinguished speakers for the valuable insights, perspective, and reflection. you have shared with us today. Your contribution have not only for our understanding but also enriched the direction of today's discussion in a truly meaningful way. Alright, ladies and gentlemen, before we conclude our event today, I would like to invite Bapak Nizar Marizi, Director for Environment Bappenas, to deliver the closing remarks. To Bapak Nizar Marizi, the floor is yours.
Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen, Pak Deputi, Pak Teguh, Bu blank nih Pak, Bu Emi, Pak Andreas, Pak Hans, Pak Thomas dan Pak Thomas, dan also ada Bu Umi tadi dari BRIN, masih ada ya Bu, Pak Joko. Allow me to convey my sincere appreciations for your active participation throughout today's kick-off meeting of the project of InCircular. Today's session marks an important milestone for us as we launch a new phase of collaboration, advancing Indonesia transitions toward a circular economy. We have gained valuable insights from the policy direction from Pak Teguh, also the strategic priorities presented by Ibu Emi and Pak Uso, and also as well as the lessons drawn for Germany long-standing experience in circular economy development. We also appreciate the clear implementation plan shared by the GIZ, which will guide our joint work in the years ahead. The discussions today reaffirm several key messages. The first, Indonesia's commitment to the circular economy is strong and continues to deepen. The launch of the Circular Economy Roadmap last year, following by the integration of this circular economy ecosystem as a priority program in our medium-term development plan, reflects the government determination to shift from a linear model to one that is more resource efficient, inclusive, and also sustainable. Second, achieving this transformation requires coordinated action across ministries, local governments, industries, and also development partners. The panel discussions underscore the importance of aligning strategies, whether on resource efficiency, EPR development, industrial transformation, waste management improvement, and also green public procurement. The cross-sectoral nature of the circular economy demands that we strengthen collaboration and maintain a shared understanding. And the third, our partnership with Germany continues to play a constructive and also catalytic role. For decades, Indonesia and Germany has worked side by side as equal partners in solid waste management and also circular economy initiative. With the signing of the InCircular Economy Project, we are entering a new phase focused on joint priorities, policy strengthening, and also practical support at both national and subnational levels. Looking ahead, the InCircular Project will help to harmonize regulatory frameworks, foster innovation, support EPR development for selected material streams, promote collaborations with industries, and enhance waste management in provinces such as East Java and Bali. And also these efforts will contribute to our broader ambitions of building a resilient, competitive, and future-ready circular economy. Before closing, I would like to extend my gratitude to all panelists, speakers, representatives from the Embassy of Germany, BMZ, GIZ, ministries and institutions, private sector associations, civil society organizations, and also development partners who join us today. Your presence and contributions demonstrate a strong collective commitment to advancing this agenda. Finally, on behalf of the Ministry of National Development Planning, I officially conclude today's kick-off meeting. We're looking forward to continued collaborations and concrete progress throughout the implementation of the project. Thank you very much and have a good afternoon. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Waalaikumsalam warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Thank you so much Bapak Nizar Marizi for your valuable and heartwarming remark. Ladies and gentlemen, that concludes our agenda today. We appreciate your attention, engagement, and contribution throughout the discussion. With that, I, Muhammad Firdaus Nur Ananda, on behalf of Bappenas and GIZ, I would like to express our gratitude and bid you farewell. We look forward to seeing you at the future event. Good evening and wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Ladies and gentlemen, for your information, the material links are available on each table for your reference. And at the front area, you may also visit the exhibition showcasing